Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are taking a look at the Major League Baseball pitching assignments for Friday, July 31st with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. You can find his final four-pay picks every day at his website, OffshoreInsiders.com. And Joe Duffy, if people have done that this year, would they have been profitable? Has it been a successful year in baseball for you?
Absolutely, as we file this report, and especially because this is more of a long-term video, people might watch it, for a month or so after we record this. We really added some nice systems to our arsenal for football season, so we've had a lot more enormously successful football seasons than so-so football seasons, and I have a lot of reasons to believe in NFL and college this could be our best yet.
I have a few leans that I've identified from Friday, July 31st. First, let's start off discussing a couple of games that are interesting. I'm probably going to pass on them, but they're very interesting. Johnny Cueto, right, makes his first start for KC. It's going to be at Toronto against Drew Hutchison. And Hutchison's a tricky guy. At first, in general, he seems like a mediocre pitcher, but he's actually got great home numbers. And Toronto's actually 7-2 in Hutchison's home starts. And Toronto, despite their big offense, has actually been a strong under-trender at home. So maybe we want to lean towards an under here. I don't know. Cueto against Hutchison. Interesting pitching matchup. What's your take on that one, Joe?
Well, this late in the season, you're not going to find splits more profound than Hutchison. 2.21 at home, 9 in 11 outings on the road. I have found out, and unfortunately, there's not really software that's quite sophisticated enough to prove this because it's more of a general theory. But when stud pitchers change teams, I don't know if it's just a case of they press too much or what have you, but stud pitchers in their first couple games with new teams, I found to be pretty good go against teams. So I'm going to be very tempted to go with Hutchinson here. It's not, look, it was going to be a great acquisition. Johnny Cueto might be pitching in the World Series, but for a very short time, I think I'm going to test that theory that's been successful over the years of going against stud pitchers in their first couple games on a new team.
Yeah, Toronto's 7-2. Again, in Hutchison's 9 home starts. That's better than the Dodgers have been with Kershaw's home starts. I'm assuming. I'd have to check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And then we have CC Sabathia going again, this time at the White Sox. Carlos Rodon on the other side, and Sabathia, another bad start last time out. He's just, until he's out of the majors, I think we can assume that he's just generally going to be bad. It's an interesting matchup, though, because both the Yankees and the White Sox have been hitting and winning recently. The Yankees and White Sox are actually the top 2 teams in baseball in July in terms of ROI. So I'm not sure that I'd automatically be excited to fade the Yankees even with Sabathia starting. And then maybe you'd want to lean towards the over, but the White Sox have actually been the strongest under-trender at home on the year. 72% unders at home. They're 12-32 over-under on the year. So if you want to bet an over on this one, you're going against that trend. This is an interesting pitching matchup. What's your take on it, Joe?
Well, the fact with Rodon, he's coming off of a pretty good outing. And as I said, these young pitchers, I like to bet on inconsistency. I think he's going to get knocked around a little bit here. If anything, I might lean a little bit towards the over because, as you said, it's not like he's got a stud on the other side, on the pitching on the other for the other team. So I think this could be a fairly high-scoring game.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, but what's your take then on that stat I cited? 72% unders at home for the White Sox this year.
Yeah, I'm not really a humongous believer on the team home-road splits. We'd have to look on the recent offensive stuff, so that's not one of those statistics that I weigh that heavily.
Fair enough. And then Wei-Yin Chen starting again for Baltimore. I love to talk about him. He hasn't really been lights out recently, but he's just so steady, so reliable. It seems like anytime you bet him, he's not going to get shelled. And then Buck Farmer is starting for Detroit. He's replacing Shane Green, but he has kind of a very similar profile. A guy who's gotten crushed in the majors. Minor league numbers weren't that awesome either. So, if Chen can give you, 6 innings and 2 or 3 runs, you're probably going to be in a good spot for a win there. What do you think about Detroit at Baltimore?
What you said is correct. Chen has been the mark of consistency, and you've been all over him. You never really look for him to get shelled. It would seem to be a pretty good pitching matchup for him. Going with him has been a very good deal all year, and I see no reason for this to be different.
And then the last guy I wanted to ask you about, Nick Martinez, right? Starting for Texas at home. San Francisco does have some nice bats in their lineup that can come more alive when they go into a park like Texas, but Nick Martinez just gotten absolutely crushed in June and July. So unless we have some reason to believe that he's going to make a significant alteration for this start, probably he gets crushed again, right?
Most likely, he's been on a very streaky team, so we want to keep an eye on the team streaks. But 7.01 ERA in his past 6 starts, he is clearly trending downward. So at this point, it would be very difficult to ride him. If anything, you might want to take a long look at the over.
All right, well, those are my 2 main leads for Friday, I think. Expecting a good start from Wei-Yin Chen and a bad start from Nick Martinez. Is there anything you'd like to bring to our attention for the card Friday, July 31st, Joe?
I've been doing this a long time. I don't know if I've seen a streakier pitcher than Taijuan Walker. The fact that he's struggling as of late, 8.02 in his last 4. I say, go against him and maybe look at the over. Michael Wacha, I think he is definitely a downtrending pitcher. He got off to a phenomenal start, and he clearly appears to be trending downward. And for the Braves, Matt Whistler, again, a lot of people out there, maybe if they handicap on their own, they're a little bit more in the day-night splits than I am, but it is interesting to note that Matt Whistler, 4.0 at night, 2.88 ERA, and he's pitching at night compared to 4.24 and 3 day start. So he does have some very prominent day-night splits.
And Joe Duffy's final picks for the Friday card, of course, can be found at his website, offshoreinsiders.com. Joe Duffy, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you again very soon.